Can Volkswagen's most popular electric car still stand out against its advancing rivals? While Volkswagen's ID sub-brand kicked off with the Volkswagen ID.3 hatchback in 2019, it's the Volkswagen ID.4 that has risen to become its most important electric car. A crossover with a pebble-like curvature, the ID.4 isn't just the best-selling EV of the Volkswagen brand, but also the entire Volkswagen Group. Some 180 to 1,000 examples of it, and its ID.5 coupé-SUV twin were sold in 2024. With dimensions just inside those of the Volvo XC60 in every direction, it taps richly into the crossover zeitgeist. So much so, in fact, that it's a more popular option than its ID.3, Cupra-born, Audi Q for e-tron and Skoda Enyaq relations. Much has changed since the ID.4 launched in 2021. Rivals are stronger and more diverse than ever and launching from all directions: Kia and Hyundai in Asia, Peugeot and Vauxhall in Europe, and Tesla in the US, with increasingly competitive products. But Volkswagen has also bolstered the ID.4's model range, adding larger batteries and several motor options to broaden the SUV's appeal. So, can the ID.4 still stand out against its rivals? Read on as we dive deeper with a full and comprehensive review. The ID.4 offers a choice of two batteries in the UK, an entry-level 52 kWh unit and a long-range 77 kWh one. Volkswagen claims a range of 221 miles for those equipped with the smaller battery, while the 77 kWh unit should offer between 319 and 339 miles, depending on the chosen specification. Two motors are on offer, too. Cars with the smaller battery are driven by a 167 bhp rear-mounted electric motor, but 77 kWh variants get a much more punchy 286 bhp. Four-wheel drive is available on for motion versions, and the range-topping Volkswagen ID.4 GT Sports SUV, which we've written about in its own separate review. Design and styling. Under a body that's somehow bulbous and rakish in equal measure, the ID.4 isn't exactly handsome, but neither is it unattractive. Lies the same MEB platform used by the ID.3, only with the wheelbase and tracks extended. It was the Volkswagen Group's first SUV to use the platform, and was later followed by the Q for e-tron, Enyaq, and Ford Explorer, and Capri. It received an updated drivetrain in 2023 plus other revisions related to power electric software. The updated drivetrain features the rear axle-mounted motor that Volkswagen introduced on the ID.7 saloon for both single-motor, rear-wheel drive ID.4 models like our test car, and dual-motor, four-wheel drive ones. Additionally, the ID.4 gained an upgraded interior with a larger central touchscreen that operates with updated infotainment software and menus, plus illumination for the touch-sensitive sliders that control the audio volume and the climate control. There's also a new-look steering wheel, and the characteristic gear selector rocker has become a column stock. With 80 bhp and 173 pounds-feet, more than the motor produced up until now, the AP550 unit gives the rear-wheel drive ID.4 Pro performance to 80 bhp and 400 pounds-feet. The four-wheel drive ID.4 Pro for motion receives a 50 bhp overall boost, taking its peak power up to 286 bhp, and the range-topping, likewise driven ID.4 GTX gains an extra 40 bhp, taking it up to 335 bhp. Interior. The ID.4's interior shares many hallmarks with the other cars in the ID range. That of the Volkswagen Golf loosely inspires the dashboard topography, but, as with the ID.3, the cockpit is even more minimalistic. The conspicuous lack of buttons and switches might even seem quite shocking to someone coming from, say, a Tiguan. It gets a leatherette steering wheel that features haptic touchpads for controlling the music, display and cruise control, which are slow and frustrating to use and far too easy to press by accident. As standard, the ID.4 gets interior ambient lighting, heated front seats and a climate windscreen, plus a 5.3-inch driver's display and a 10 inches touchscreen infotainment system. A larger, 12 inches touchscreen is available as an option. Volkswagen's infotainment systems were difficult to use in the recent past. They were slow, buggy, and crashed repeatedly, but the brand seems to have overcome some of these shortcomings with the latest version of its ID software. While the system in the ID.4 still isn't as intuitive and user-friendly as it could be, it's a big improvement. Material quality is reasonable. The attractive and superbly comfortable style seats, plus organic shapes in the door card moldings, and Volkswagen's modern reluctance to use much in the way of a physical switchgear, do create quite a special ambience. And, yes, one that is genuinely very relaxing, not least because the scuttle is relatively low and forward visibility thus effortless. Engines and performance. Cars with the smaller battery are driven by a 167 bhp rear-mounted electric motor, but 77 kWh variants get a much more punchy to 186 bhp. In entry-level guys, the ID.4 completes 0 to 62 miles per hour in 9.0 sec. While this doesn't seem as quick as many of its rivals, it's still a reasonable amount of power in town, which is delivered smoothly and silently. In an EV, going full throttle in a less powerful car returns broadly the same experience as going half throttle in a more powerful car. And because the power is available from rest, the entry-level ID.4's 0 to 30 miles per hour acceleration is perfectly acceptable. Most drivers will opt for the big battery variant with the more powerful motor, though, which will hit 0 to 62 miles per hour in a very respectable 6.7 sec. That's almost as quick as the Volkswagen Golf GTI. That said, the Model Y has a